so today we've got my boy Panashe. And you know what, yeah,
Jeez.
Panashe?
Mm, mm,
Today's gonna be interesting because I feel like I'm gonna have a conversation with you that I don't think we would have like in a
mm,
normal course of life,
mhm,
you know? But
mm.
before we get into that, just do a quick introduction of like your name, who you are, like maybe describe yourself, just like a brief intro about yourself.
Hey, I've never actually done that before, so hey, it's a bit techy. But my name is Panashe. Obviously, it's a Zimbabwean name. 28 years old. I work at the moment as a trainee telecoms engineer. I've been doing that for not too long, but that's what I do for work. Big football fan. Play football. Uh, oh, can't really think of much, bro.
Yeah,
Man, to
no,
be
that's
honest with
calm.
you, yeah,
That's
it's
calm.
cool.
That's calm. That's
Mm,
all right. Yeah, okay. So yeah, let's get into it. So we went to uni together, like 3 years together, and I think we knew of each other right from the first year, maybe.
mm.
But we were never friends. Like we were never
Nah,
friendly.
nah,
No, I
nah.
mean, sorry, we were friendly. Like we'd say hi, give each other a nod, like
Mm,
acknowledge each other, but we were never friends. But
mm,
we had a relationship like towards the end of uni, like
mm.
maybe the last couple of months of uni or like the last 3 months of uni. But then even after we graduated, I'm not too sure we even talked for a bit after that. But
Mm.
all of a sudden, like we're here chatting every day, and it's like,
Yeah, true,
and
true, true.
and it's for me, I feel like that's a bit odd. So I'd kind of
Uh,
like you to talk about it from your experience.
you know when you said it, yeah, it's exactly how you said it, fam. It's weird, like how it came to be. But I remember, I think you used to run men's fellowship in it when we was
Sure.
in
Yeah,
uni.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember like a couple of times when we went to fellowship, like because obviously, like you said, we were friendly, but we didn't really know each other. Like, so when you would be like sharing or when you lead prayers and stuff like that, I remember looking at you, think like, you know what, like this guy, he's on his faith, like, you know what I'm saying? And with all the stuff that we was going through uni, like the temptations, like girls, some people it was alcohol, but not, I won't even say some people. For me, it was alcohol, there was, smoking, all of these things. Yeah. And I'm thinking all these things are out there and like doing all these things. But then there's this guy who's obviously seeing all the same things we're seeing, what I mean, going through all the same temptations that we're going through, but he's more focused on like God, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, for me, that was like, it was kind of crazy. I was like, you're so focused on God to the point he was leading fellowship as well, do you know what I mean? And I was like, that's quite something, because I was thinking, if I had to lead fellowship, yeah, I'd probably either be too hungover or too high to even know that today's the day that I'm leading fellowship, or you know what I'm saying? Like, there was so many other distractions. So when I seen you doing that, I was like, you know what, at some point, yeah, like, I need to talk to this guy. Like, you know what I mean? If I'm gonna be serious, like about my faith, serious about like finding God, yeah, I need to be around people like this guy. But I didn't know you at the time, so that was always there, like in the back of my mind. Like, you know what, this is someone that I could maybe lean on at some point, or talk to at some point, or get to know at some point. And I think even after we left uni and that stuff, I don't think that thought ever really went away. So I think that probably was like the trigger for me. Like maybe I wouldn't say like reaching out to you or anything, but I'd say like I don't know, like you were always like there, like it's someone that I've seen like yo, like this guy is he's onto the right things, like you know what I'm saying. So
Well, do you know what? Yeah, hearing you say that is making me sad because
mm,
our relationship hasn't really been like that, has it? It's
yeah,
we've been friends. Sometimes we've been enablers.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
like
yeah,
we've been there for each other. Like
yeah,
we've been there to hear each other out, kind of thing.
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
we've been like a good a good friend, like a
Mm,
good like confidant, like a good a good person to like to get advice from and I bounce off of as well. But I don't think our relationship has been one of like getting to know God, like
nah,
talking
true.
about God, like
Nah, it's very
even
true.
like even in the slightest. And that's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
why
yeah.
I'm like looking forward to this because I do want to talk to you about God. We've mentioned, I feel like in all our conversations, like over the last 6 years or whatever, like I think I remember myself talking about God like twice, bringing God up
Yeah,
twice, if I'm being honest.
yeah.
And that's not great, especially from hearing you say that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like actually, yeah. Let me ask you a question. Yeah? And I think there's a reason why for me I don't really bring up God as much when I talk to you. But from hearing you say that you saw me as like this guy, that was out here doing things for God, but then when you got to talking to me, like got to know me more, we never really talked about God. What was that like
Yeah.
for you? Like, how did you see that? How did you receive that?
Do you know what? To be perfectly honest, yeah, it's probably not something I've actually thought about until probably now. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I
Really,
think
it's
maybe,
not. I don't think
mm,
it's anything I thought about even until now. To
yeah,
be honest, yeah.
yeah. Because I think, when I first started speaking with you, like maybe that what I was saying before was in the back of my mind, but then maybe that quickly disappeared and I just got to know you in a different way, if you know what I'm saying.
Right,
So I
right.
mean, maybe that was the initial push for us to maybe start talking, but then
Mm,
maybe the friendship from there just evolved in a different way. Like
mm,
I guess
mm,
that's just how it went down. Like maybe that was the initial push, and then it just became something else. I guess.
mm,
But
mm.
yeah, because yeah, I'd never literally hadn't thought about that till just now. Actually.
Right. So I think for me, and this is me being fully honest, I guess.
Mm,
I think it's gonna be hard for me to like explain this, but it's a thing
yeah.
of, do you know what? I'm trying to say it like the best way possible. Like,
Wait, what do you say? Like how it is? Like you know what I'm saying? Like
so okay, so how it is basically
yeah. I mean, you could also edit it if you need to edit it. Just
no.
touch it up
So
with that.
so let me say it wrong, maybe like backtrack. So
Mm,
it's kind of a thing of like I like I don't want the Christianity thing to be overwhelming for a person.
mm,
Do you get me? And I feel like
yeah.
if I kept on coming at you with like like the whole Christian vibe, I don't think we would have maintained our friendship.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair way to put it, to be fair.
So I think
Mm,
that's the reason
mm,
why for me um because obviously from uni, like the only
mm,
reason, the thing that brought us together was like a mutual Christian event. That's all that brought
mm,
us together, and like we mostly just talked about God and just like how to be better, like
mm.
kind of thing. But then after uni, it was a conscious decision for me, like because you've talked to me about like struggling with like drinking. Do you get me? Like, I
Mm.
hope you don't mind me saying like struggling with drinking or like
Yeah,
smoke.
nah, yeah, no, it's fair, yeah,
Because you spoken to me about struggling with like drinking and smoking and stuff like that, and I
yeah,
just took
yeah,
an approach of just listening, and just like
mm,
putting in my 2 pence every now and again, and not making it like a super Christian thing of like,
yeah,
as a Christian you shouldn't be doing that. Like, do you get me? Not making it
yeah,
too
yeah,
biblical because I feel like that's what you would appreciate more.
yeah. No, I agree with that still, yeah.
Yeah? Do you do
Yeah,
you,
no,
do
no,
you agree with
yeah,
me?
I would. No, I would agree with you. I would agree with you. To be fair,
Oh,
yeah,
fair
man.
enough. Oh yes.
Yeah, you sound surprised, like.
Yeah.
So you sound surprised, man.
Because I've never said that to you, have I? Because
Yeah, but I don't think you've needed to, but I do hear it. I'm not. It's weird because I've thought about that here and there as well. I'm thinking I don't know how to even put it into words really, like, but because you know what you're saying about like not wanting to be overwhelming, but then like at the same time I'm thinking like, what does that say about maybe how I am if someone doesn't want to talk about God as much as they want to with me? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, we're actually gonna get into that. So,
yeah,
well, that kind of leads us onto this. So, I actually do want to find out if I was wrong in my approach, I guess technically
mm,
by this, but actually trying to figure out like what is Panashe about? Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Like
yeah,
how does Panashe live out his Christian life? Like, or like
yeah,
because for me, even though I may not talk to you about God, there are other people I do talk to God about. Do you get me? And
yeah.
like there are avenues in which I explore God, and like yeah, I get my God juices flowing, and like there are other people I do chat to about God. So like, who do you like? Who do you talk to about God from? Like, if it's not me.
Yeah. To be honest with you, like brutally honest, probably right now, probably no one really.
But
Like,
yeah, yeah.
there's been people at other phases of life, but right now, if I'm being honest, probably nobody, you know.
What's that like? Like why not?
Um, I don't even know, bro, to be fair to you. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just general
This is
not
by the way,
talking to
Panache, by the way,
eh?
this is gonna
Yeah.
be a therapy session for you.
Jeez, bruh.
This is
I
gonna
don't know
be
if this is what I signed up for, you know. God damn,
this
bro.
is gonna be an intervention.
Yeah,
This is the
intervention.
conversation I've always wanted to have, but I've never had it.
Ah, no, man. I got ambushed, you know, today. For I was thinking I'd do a little whatever, then I'll shoot off like nah.
I apologize in advance. That's all I'm
Ah,
saying.
so nah. I hear it. Yeah, man. Nah, probably nobody, you know, at the moment, bro. Really,
Yeah, so
to be honest.
what's that like? Like in when I say that, I guess I mean like,
Mm.
do you like is that even something that you is that something that you recognize that's like maybe missing in your life, or is that just kind of what it is?
I'd probably say it's probably just what it is. Like, I probably haven't thought of it as much because, you know, generally, like when like there's certain phase of life that, like, you know, when you're doing like not doing a lot, but like you don't feel like you have a real like minute to stop sometimes.
Mm.
And then I think it's probably part of it is just in general not really speaking to people in general that much at the moment. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not even like you go like, oh, I'm not really talking to anyone about God at the moment. It's almost like I'm not
I'm not
really
talking
talking to
to anybody,
anyone
period.
about anything much at the moment. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
heard that. I heard that.
yeah. So it's like probably just needing to take time to actually stop and think and be like, yo, like, where are we actually going? Like, you're just
Oh,
moving, but you're not really moving in any real direction right now. You know what I'm saying? But
let's go back to the beginning, yeah. So
mm,
I I'm assuming that you would call yourself a Christian, right?
I would,
So why like where like from your upbringing, where did Christianity come into your life? You've mentioned
yeah,
the keel moment where it kind of
yeah,
God was real to you, but obviously from speaking to you, I know that you come from a Christian family, or like you've gone to church from a young age. Just like
mm.
tell us a bit about that.
Oh, okay. So for me, so we grew up like I'll say when we were super young, it wasn't really like a thing. We didn't really go to church like that. But then there was at some point, well, we were still quite young. Maybe I'd say I would have been maybe about 10, 11 or something like that, or around about starting secondary school. Like we started going to church every Sunday, but it was like a Catholic church, but like mostly like a Zimbabwean community. So we started going with my mom, and then eventually my dad joined, and he started going as well. Um, but it always felt more to do with the Zimbabwean side of things and to do with the Christian side of things. Like, you know what I mean? Like Zimbabwean community, this and that. Because yeah, so it felt more to do with that than anything. Um, Eventually I stopped going mostly because of like just like football, going football on Sundays and stuff like so they'd kind of just allow me to just do that instead. And then as I got a bit older, like maybe let's say to like year 11 and stuff, like I'd find myself like maybe putting quotes about God and stuff like on Facebook or something like that, like just quotes relating to Christianity, quotes relating to faith, you know what I mean, that sort of thing. And it was weird because I think when I went to delete my Facebook and then some of the old stuff came up, I was like, why was I talking about God in like year 10 and 11? Like, do you know what I mean? But obviously, it must have been something that was in me from the days that we were going to church. And then I'd say probably through sixth form and stuff, just probably the same thing. You might just mention God here and there, but you weren't really practicing, you weren't really reading the Bible, nothing like that. Got to uni, and obviously got to uni, new experience, thinking, wow, like all of this stuff is crazy. Like you see, you can do what you want for the first time, you can do whatever, you know what I mean? You start doing all of that stuff. And then in the midst of that, you see people who are trying to live for God in that environment. And that's where I was like, wait a second, like, so it's more than just going to church on a Sunday and just doing what you want the rest of the week, chilling, whatever, then going again on Sunday and then forgetting about it. Like, it's a Monday and these people are going to fellowship. It's a Tuesday, these people are meeting up and reading the Bible and discussing. It's a Wednesday. I'm thinking, yo, it's not a Sunday, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's when I was like, yo, clearly it's more than what I'd taken it to be. Like, there's people who actually believe in this. Like, it's more than a quote on social media. It's more than like saying, yeah, I'm a Christian when you take the survey and that, you know what I mean, consensus or whatever. Like, it's more than that.
I'm curious because you said that. Like when you went to uni, like you got introduced to like this whole style of living, like the drinking and the smoking and stuff like that. So did that actually really start in uni?
I'd say, yeah, probably,
No,
but yeah, but I'd say probably like when I say like doing all of that stuff, obviously the smoking was different, but I'd say the drinking it's one of them ones where like, you know, because it wasn't really something that you did before. Like, I think on the surface of it, like someone would be like, oh, you're just drinking the same as everyone else, innit? Like, it's just one of them ones that it's just whatever. But because you ain't really been in that space before, you're thinking, I'm doing a lot right now. Do you know what I'm saying? Am I doing too much? Like, do I have a handle on this? Like, I think from the outside, it might look like it wasn't too crazy, but on the inside, I was like, do I actually have a handle on this? Like, do you know what I mean?
Just
like,
during uni.
This is, I'll say in phases, like, yeah, in phases. Like, there'll be phases of like, whoa, like this is too much. And then there'll be phases of like, yeah, I don't really care about drinking. I don't really care about all of that. But then it was like,
Do you know by too much? What was too much?
I'd say too much would be like, just when you chilling and you're drinking and there's actually nothing to drink for. Like, you're not going out, you're not partying, you're not, you know what I mean? You're just there and you're chilling, you're having a drink, and then you start feeling a bit buzzed. You're like, wait, why am I buzzed? Like, I'm not doing anything today. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm actually drinking for absolutely no reason, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, that for me was what I thought was like a bit, that was too much, you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah.
Why do you think that you were doing that?
Why do I think I was doing that? Don't know, man. I think that's something a therapist would probably have to help me out with. Like, to be honest with you, I ain't even gonna lie. I mean, that's a very like, I mean, the answers to that question are probably maybe a bit more complicated than what I could answer right now. You know.
Are you sure?
I was yeah, probably.
Answers for that. I think you got answers, man.
Do you know what, man?
In fact, I know you've got answers, but yeah.
I said he knows I have answers. Do you know what, man?
We can move on though if you want. This all good.
Yeah. We might have to. Nah, do you know what? To be fair, I will answer it like in like a short way. I'd say probably just maybe not being able to deal with things that would come up in life like the right way, like not having better ways to deal with things. You know, probably would be as truthful as I can be right now. Like,
can you give us an example?
Like an example of
not having a good way to deal with things that might come up.
Oh, okay. Like
so something that might come up and how you might deal with it wrongly. Like, do you get me? All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So maybe like without like getting too much into the details,
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
say probably like, let's say I don't know, like things that might stem from like family relationships that were maybe going a bit like, you know, they were a bit, I don't know how to put it to words, for you know, sometimes you just have to do this one like that, you know what I'm saying? Things would be a
Just
bit mad.
family relationships that aren't the best or that aren't the most
Yeah,
forward.
yeah, that would be, and then from that, maybe like it will start to leak over into other stuff, like how your relationships are with other people, how you then start behaving, and then maybe how you see yourself, and then next thing is like, why not have a drink? Maybe not quite that simple, but you know what I mean? Like it's like you start, yeah, it's like kind of like dominoes in it. Like this happens and that happens and that happens, and then next thing you're all the way down there, and you're like, damn, like if I was to like,
100%.
yeah, basically.
But so
But
basically, from what you're saying, it's like the drinking was kind of a way to numb the pain.
yeah, without being too dramatic, I'll say that's probably that's probably what it was.
But do you know what? Yeah, I think it's at this point I'll probably say this guy in uni was the coolest guy on campus.
Ah, guy, man. Always the
the,
time to guess it up.
the
Nah, nah,
the reason why I never talked to him, I saw Panache. I wanted to be like Panache. I would see Panache
nah, man. Come on,
cruising
man.
about in his car looking
Nah.
sick. And I'd
You
be
know
like,
what, fam? I'm about to lock off this whole thing, fam. I'm about to exit this whole chat, fam.
and I'd be like, I could never be friends with this guy. And
Nah,
I think
man.
you guys are getting a taste of the cool man, the cool.
Nah, man. Don't do that, man. Don't do
This
that,
is
bro.
the
Come on,
coolest
man.
guy on campus, bro.
I'm trying to open up right now, man. Look what you're doing, bro. I'm trying to open up, fam.
But nah. Yeah, not to be too dramatic. Let's move on from alcohol, and I'll try and talk to you about something else. So
Mm,
so like I said, like I kind of hope you don't mind me going into all these things, but I've been looking forward to chatting to you because I feel like you've got a great perspective um on quite a lot of things, and something that
mm,
we've talked about a lot is the idea of being a man, you know, like
mm,
in today's world, and like how men communicate with each other and how men
mm.
relate to each other. Like how have you found that for yourself? Because I think from speaking to you as well, like I've said, you're a cool guy. I'd say you're a bit of a macho man. Like
Jesus.
you're a bit of a hothead sometimes. Like you're not really someone that lets something pass by. You know, do you get me?
Yeah.
And I think
Hey.
you told me in the past that it's from like where you were brought up. You know, and the
Mm.
mindset that was kind of instilled in you. So like talk to me about like you becoming a man and also you shedding like the toxic elements of manhood that's been like put up on you.
Yeah, do you know, I'll start by saying I probably haven't shed like the toxic elements or whatever, but you know,
No,
like
but no, come
uh,
on, like even from when we first started talking to now,
uh
I've seen you shed some things.
nah, fair. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll say yeah. You know, okay, so I'll start by saying I say obviously I think for most guys, yeah, they're sort of like lessons on how to be a man or just everything, their first sort of image of what a man is their dad, in it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like their father, or their father figure, or whatever it is. And I had a father who I have a father who's very like sort of like stern, not very emotionally forthcoming. Um, Probably those things that you describe, kind of laid back, sort of like, do you know what I mean? But then at the same time, he's quite, I don't know, like there's things I admire about him and there's things that I really don't admire about him, do you know what I'm saying? And there's characteristics that he has that I'm glad that I saw from my father figure, do you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like being sort of quite firm in the way that he is in terms of like how he deals with other people, like sort of not being like a pushover. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's important, especially like, in this world that we live in. I think it's important that you kind of stand strong in whatever it is that you believe in, whatever it is you believe in. You can believe in whatever you want, but as long as you're like sturdy in that, I think that's important. But obviously on the more toxic side, like just not being able to really build connections with people, I feel like I've kind of done that as well, which is I've come to kind of realize that it's a really, really bad thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like not being able to open up like when you need to open up, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the only way you can really build like relationships with people, do you know what I'm saying? And you need to have those relationships. Like so yeah, it's kind of hard for me to zero in on what I'm trying to say exactly, but I hope that kind of makes some kind of sense. You get me?
Yeah.
Like like I feel like that's what being a man is basically, like being able to stand strong when you need to stand strong, but also having the capacity to be stuffed enough to, you know what I mean, to be approachable, to build relationships, to be in a community, part of a community, part of a fellowship, part of a family, part of whatever. Do you get me? Like, do you know what I mean? Just getting that balance right. Do you get me? That's for me. That's that's like the main thing.
So do you know from that whole like the whole the toxic idea of like being a man and like, you know, just like toughen things up by yourself, would you say that that's probably been a huge factor in like much of your downtime? And like maybe because from our conversations you've had some I don't want to say mental health struggles because that's a bit of but you've had moments of like depression or like just sadness, you know, like not seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Would you say that's kind of contributed a lot to that?
Yeah, I'd say probably it's just all gone like hand in hand, like you know what I mean? Like I'd say like you know when you talk to people, like when I talk to you for example, like it's like another way of seeing things, and like when you've kind of hit a dead end like in the way you're thinking and you don't talk to somebody about it, like it's just you talking to you and you only can see what you see in it. But if you can see what like Kelechi sees or you see what the other boy sees, it's like there's the kind of hope in there, do you know what I mean? So it's like you don't want to open up because you're going through stuff, but then you go through more stuff because you're not opening up, do you know what I mean? It just goes hand in hand like that. But yeah, man, so it can just be like a downward spiral, like, do you get me? So yeah, man, yeah, I'll say it does go hand in hand like that.
So aside from, I kind of didn't like that question from you because I kind of want you to tell your story, and I think I'll ask a more open question, which is what did lead you to having like times of depression and stuff like that?
Do you know what? If I could summarize it, I'd say like I'd probably say just the disconnect between what my life actually was and like what I wanted it to be. Do you know what I mean? And then like not being able to see any way to make what I wanted to, like not being able to see any way to make what is be what I want it to be. Do you know what I'm saying? Like not being able to see like a path from here to where I'm trying to get to, like over there. Do you get me?
How are you now?
Bro, I am optimistic, fam. Like, you get me? I'm optimistic, bro. Like, probably not a lot has changed, like on paper, but like I feel like inside, like I feel like more hope than probably I felt like in
Are
a
you
long
sure that
time.
a lot hasn't changed?
I mean, I guess it has. I guess it has,
Do
but
you know
like,
what, Panashe? This is something I've told you many, many times. So this guy, yeah. So me and this guy, I think before lockdown, we was do you remember when we tried to go to Afro Nation? Do you remember we tried to go to Afro Nation before lockdown?
yeah.
Ruined the Afro Nation plans, yeah. So basically,
I remember.
me and this guy had a program to get in the best shape that we could possibly get in
Yeah, man.
for
Yeah.
for Afro Nation. We had like a program. we were kind of like tracking ourselves every month
Yeah,
and
yeah,
checking how
yeah,
much weight we'd lost.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then for me, and I think this is probably a big difference between me and you, and I hope you. Oh, I think actually your perspective on this has changed since then.
Mm.
But I remember like every time every month I'd be like, oh, I've lost 1 kg or 0.1 kg or something like
Oh,
that.
I know exactly where you're going with this. So yeah, go ahead. I know exactly where this is going.
And I'd be like, yes, yes, watched it. I'd celebrate it. I'd come to Panashe, and Panashe would be like, no, I ain't celebrating that. I only celebrate when I've actually arrived at the destination. I'm not celebrating any milestones. I was just like, what is this guy talking about? Like you've got to be happy about like every little
Yeah,
victory. Like you have to
yeah,
celebrate those things. But your mindset was like, no, that's not elite mentality. And
mm,
like if you celebrate it, then that can lead to complacency. That was kind of like your mindset and your reason. And I think a thing about you is I don't think sometimes that you just step back a little bit and just be like and celebrate like the little things that happen.
yeah.
With with that said, I have seen again like because I think maybe last year, like within the last year, like you've said stuff along the lines of yeah, like I'm actually more willing to celebrate the little victories and not just be
Mm,
waiting to celebrate the final destination.
yeah, yeah. And you know what, bro? Just to add into what you're saying there, yeah. Like gratitude is just an unbelievable thing, fam. Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, if you don't have gratitude, yeah, then like you said, man, you can be happy you can be unhappy for a very long time. Do you get me? Like, it's even a blessing to just have two legs, fam, and to be able to go outside and just be like, I can actually go kick ball right now if I want to. Like, do you get me? So yeah, nah, I hear you.
Taking it back here, I do think that like a lot has changed in your life and for the better. And I remember like
Mm,
at the times when you thought that you couldn't get any better, like you persisted though. Like I'll give you credit for that because
yeah, I
even though you was
appreciate that.
doing that job you didn't want to be doing, like you like
Mm,
every like I remember you'd always tell me, oh, like I'm gonna do this course, like I'm applying for these jobs. Like, do you get me? Like
yeah,
you kept on doing things. You kept on your fitness thing. Like you're not giving up on playing semi-pro. You're still on these things.
fam.
You're a very determined guy, and
Yeah,
that's
I
great,
appreciate that,
man.
bro.
Yeah, so mate, see the little victories, man. See the little victories and own it, fam.
No, I appreciate that, bro, man. I appreciate that.
Own it, brother. Let's end on this. Let's kind of bring it back to like the whole Christianity thing. So
Yeah, man.
I want to ask you, how's the faith now?
Um, I don't want to say not good because it's not really God doesn't work in not good, you know what I'm saying?
Uh,
But
well, God does work in not good, but I get
I
what you're
mean, yeah, yeah, you get me.
saying.
Um, it's it's been it's been neglected a bit, definitely. Like, it's been neglected. I'll be honest, man. It's been heavily neglected actually.
Why has it been neglected, fam? And also, like, do you have plans of it not being neglected anymore? And like, yeah, like what kind of things are you doing? Like, do you think about that? Because I know you, and if you've got something in your mind, like you go for it. Like I said, we talked about
Yeah.
trying to get a job. You've been on that, like the football thing. You've been on your fitness thing. Like how come Christianity isn't that much of a priority to you?
Do you know what? That's a question, yeah, I actually really need to think about, bro. To be fair to you, I usually have an answer for something, almost anything, but this one is like, because there's no actual reason for
How
it.
do you think that even someone like me as a friend could
Mm,
help? You know,
you know what? I would say, like you said, we know each other in it, and I
because
don't even. I'll probably have to throw that one back to you, man. Like,
because
yeah,
personally for me, I feel like I don't know, but I kind of get a vibe of you. Maybe because I'm like this and I'm reflecting it on you, but I feel like we are similar people, like in the sense
mm,
of if you kind of keep telling me what I'm not doing, that's not gonna make me do it any better. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you get me? If you kind of keep shoving it in my face that, oh, I'm not reading my Bible, I'm not doing this. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, so like, come on, like, you get me? It kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
pushes me away from it even further because I just feel awkward. And
yeah.
but is that like, am I wrong in that? Like, is that wrong? Is that wrong of me? But like,
Bro,
basically, that would be my answer if you threw it back at me. But I want to throw it back at you again. And it's like, how can how do you get how can because I'm sure that there's people like you know, that are just like out there. Like they've got people around them that are Christians, but like people around them probably feel like they can't bring it up, or like, you know, they feel like
mm,
they might not really wanna be hearing all that, or like if you said it, they wouldn't really take it in, or it would just go out of one ear, like, or it
mm,
would make them actually go the opposite direction. Do you get me? Like,
mm.
um, I guess first of all, am I right in my thinking? Like, do you actually think if I was like, yo, fam, let's do the Bible study like every Friday, or let's pray together every Friday, or like, or bring up God more in conversations, like, would that actually help you, or would that be more awkward? Do you get me?
Yeah, I think probably be more awkward.
Exactly.
Probably
Yeah.
wouldn't help. Yeah,
So
but you know
so
what?
yeah. Go
But
on.
but you know, like if I was looking at me from the outside, yeah, you see, like I remember you told me that you were doing like Bible studies on like Zoom and stuff like that
Mate,
before.
that's funny because I asked you to come to that almost every week, and this guy never showed
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. You see that, and then like obviously with the uni, when I seen you doing things like knowing that those spaces are there, like I feel like I would find my way there at some point. Do you know what I'm saying? Like kind of like when I seen you at fellowship, and I was like, at some point, I'm gonna have to talk to that guy.
Maybe something for me to just be like, even though I feel like this guy might not want to hear it, still do it. Like, do you get me?
Yeah,
Even though it might
yeah,
be awkward, still do it. Because I mean, it'll be better than the nothing that's happening anyway.
yeah, yeah. I mean, someone has to make that first move, anyways,
Do you have any questions you want to ask me, or like, or anything you'd want to talk about with me? Feel
bro.
free.
There's so much,
Because I feel like this has all been intense, so like
yeah,
on one side and intense. You can
bro. There's
I'm giving you a free shot. Go on the chin,
a free shot.
hit me, fam.
How has what, I'll make it super, super general, fam. How has life been as a husband and having a wife?
Oh,
Not even compared to what it was like before, but just how has that been? How have you found that? And
how
is it also, and also, is it what you expected, or is it more than you expected? That are there things you never expected, like just the whole thing?
See, honestly, yeah, I pretty much had no expectations.
Mm,
And I feel like for me, like with in life again, I try to have no expectations of much. Because I feel like when you have expectations, like for me, I feel like because for me, a big problem with me is, yeah, I like things to be a certain way. And if they're not, like, it hurts me. It hurts me
mm.
so bad. And that could be from the smallest, like from the, and most times it's the smallest things, if I'm being honest with you, that you could get me.
I've seen that before.
But yeah, so, and I know that about myself. So in life, I genuinely try to have like not many expectations, especially with
Mm,
these big things. Cause
mm,
like, yeah, because if I did, it wouldn't end well for me. And
mm.
that kind of goes in line with my answer for your question of like how have I found being married and having a wife? Because it's a thing of it's almost a microscope of like of everything, you know, like things you don't even think about. Do you know,
Mm.
in terms of taking it back to like expectations, it's like it kind of exposes all of your expectations, you know? And the
Like,
funny thing,
what do you mean by like exposes?
it exposes all of your expectations. And what
Yeah.
I mean that word in a sense of like how how you want things to be done, or
Mm,
how you do things, you know. It kind of
yeah.
exposes how it kind of puts a spotlight on how you do things and how someone else does it differently.
Oh, okay.
And because they do it differently, you're unhappy with that. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just mad how like simple things, and I could give you an examples, but I'm not sure if I should because it involves someone else. And actually, I could give you an example. So I'll give you an example. So it's just little things like, so let's say little things like you get into bed, like even something as small as having the light on, you
Mm,
know, like when you get into bed or not, or like when you're sitting down in the living room or not,
mm,
or little things like whether you even have whether you watch something when you get into bed or whether you don't watch something when you get into bed. Like, do you get me?
mm.
Because for me, it's like you've done life a certain way all the way through, and then there's this
Yeah.
other person that's done life a different way all the way through, and it's like trying to like reconcile those two things. It can be it can and has been very challenging for me, and I think I've learned so much already just
Mm,
within the last year that I've been married,
mm.
and it's funny because like it kind of makes you like it makes you think about yourself. Like
Wait,
it's like you think you know yourself, and you're like,
yeah.
nah, I don't know who I am anymore. It's like
Wait,
because you start to exhibit these
yeah,
characteristics that you never saw in yourself before. Like
yeah, yeah.
I, if you ask anybody, they'd be like, oh, I mean, it actually depends, but most people would say that I'm quite an easygoing guy, or
Mm,
like quite a free spirit, you know, just cool guy, like doesn't care about too much.
mm.
But I've come to get married, and I'm like, no, you actually do care about a lot of things, and I'm not too sure you're the most easygoing guy in the world.
Yeah,
Like, you get me?
yeah.
And I thought I was like a very patient,
Mm,
tolerated guy, and it's like come to get married, and you can snap so easily, or like your emotions can change so easily, and again at like such minute things, and yeah, it goes back to that thing of like, yeah, like when I went into marriage, I didn't have any expectations of what it would be like, which I think is great, but that was like on the grand scheme of things. But even then, again, you start to find out these little things that, yeah, you didn't have any grand expectations of what marriage would be, but you expected to live your life a certain way.
yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
someone else comes and changes that. And trying to adapt to that is hard because there's
Mm,
like a new thing every day.
mm. Bro, that's a crazy amount of insight, fam. I can't even lie.
Yeah?
Because
Oh, fair enough.
no. Well, you don't think so?
I was just chatting.
Nah, bro. That is actually, especially for us that are not married, bro. That's an insane amount of insight, fam. Because you wouldn't think like before you get married that we might have an issue. Because when I go to bed, I turn the light off, but you like to stay up and read for a
Mate,
bit. Like
mate,
you'd never think of that in a million
mate,
years. You know what I mean?
I could give you so many examples.
Yeah, yeah,
I could give you
yeah.
so many examples. Like literally it's almost like every single thing you thought of as normal is
Mm,
just wild to like the other person. And I guess vice versa on their part. Everything they think is normal. Like even from like how food is made, like you get me, just like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
everything's different, like
yeah, yeah.
different tastes, you know, just different presentation of food, like
Mm,
just everything's different. And like I said, someone like me, I like things to be a certain way, like
mm,
not in an OCD way, like not that kind of stuff, but like just if things aren't because I think about things a lot, and there's reasons why I do what I do,
yeah, yeah,
There's reasons why I do pretty much everything that I do, and it's like if you then come and do something different, and especially if you don't have a reason for why you're doing it different,
yeah, yeah.
that's like, and then you come to find out that like not everyone like has a reason for everything that they do. Do you get me? Like people just
Yeah,
do things for the sake of it. And it's like
yeah.
I just can't understand that. Do you get me? So it's like, yeah, it's a lot, man. But yeah, that's been the biggest thing for me because it's like,
Mm,
and obviously like um you can't just be there like say do things like this, like do you get me?
yeah.
Like you kind of have to like
Compromise.
not even compromise, just
Mm.
do you know what? Yeah, okay. So before I got married, I feel like I heard people say, or I'd heard people say, um, like just what try not to like pick your battles, like especially with your wife. And
Mm.
you hear people make jokes of like the house is run by the wife kind of thing, and I just let her do whatever she wants.
Mm.
I think that's the biggest truth in marriage for me. And I
Mm.
think I've had to learn that myself because it was a thing of like when we first got married, I was like, you know, making her aware of how I wanted things to be done. And I don't think that's the best way to be in a marriage. And it's not even a thing of compromising. It's just like letting her do her thing. Because I think when you let her do her thing, your life is 10 times better.
Mm.
That's probably the biggest thing I've learned in marriage. And that's where the patience comes to it. And that's where you start to see how you've expected things to be done this way all your life. And then
Mm.
you start to, yeah, you start to notice all those things. But really, it comes from realizing that, yeah, when you actually let her be right,
Yeah, yeah.
95, 99, 100% of the time, your life is 100
It's,
times better.
I'm gonna make a mental note of that one, and
It's
the
so,
one
but
before.
that is so true. But it's
Yeah.
that's what makes it so hard.
Mm. Oh, nah, thank you for having me on, bro. Still,
Thanks for coming through, fam.
nah, man. Like I said, love this, bro. I actually genuinely love this, fam.
Nah, I heard that. Cheers, man. I appreciate it.
My bro.